Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, Mana Traders, as well as Twitch subs and Patreon supporters, just like yourself. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, guest host Powered Dragon.
How's it going?
And Ruben Bressler.
I mean, I'm kind of a guest host, right?
You've been guesting. We've been hosting.
I've been guesting here for
quite a bit, and we'll talk about that later. Now, if you missed our pre-show, patrons and subs to this channel get access to all that content early. When we kick it off with our first pick in our giveaway, get your chance at $50 worth of anything at CoolStuffInc.com by typing ! raffle in the chat. But sub first to get your 2 chances to win. Use them dangling primes to sub up and get 2 chances. And support your favorite streamer with your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight. That is thanks to our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every single day. And the first pick this week, as we are essentially waiting for the big drop of LOTR info next week, which, you know, I'm pumped, I'm excited, should be great.
Yes.
In the meantime, we get our tinfoil hats on nice and tight.
Right.
Because
before we get our Gandalf hats on, we need our tinfoil hats.
So 2 things, well, technically 3, but 2 things happened. Wizards did some daily deals on Magic Arena, like they always do. That just so happened to include Fable of the Mirror Breaker and Bankbuster, Reckoner Bankbuster. And this was in regard to some sort of money thing or bank something or other, wasn't it? Some with finance. And so whatever, they did a bunch of stuff. And they put them on sale. And then they almost immediately took them off, which creates an argument that says they wouldn't want people to buy these cosmetics only to ban the cards a week after. Question mark?
Yeah, because that would be something, wouldn't it? You're like, oh, I just got these cool cosmetics of my favorite cards. And then, what, a week later, you're told, like, oh, I can't play with these.
Right.
So does that mean they're going to be banned? I don't know. Do I understand it? Yes, because the rabbit hole kept going. And there was a ban announcement that got leaked, which is just honestly just kind of adorable. And it basically said that like the top 10 cards of Standard are going to be banned in some form or fashion. Yeah. And it was very much over the top in many ways. And, Wedded Announcement, Wandering Emperor, Invoke Despair, Fable, Rafine, Atraxa, Reckoner Bankbuster, and Plaza of Heroes. That was the list. And that is fake. So Wizards at least went as far as saying that's not.
Yeah. So the 2 things that you just talked about, the daily deals and the fake list, I heard them in the opposite order. I heard the first thing I woke up in the morning was like, hey, did you hear a bunch of cards are going to get banned next week? They scrubbed the website like they've done before.
Which they have
scrubbed the website, right?
Yeah.
And which is a thing that has happened in the past. We've gotten early ban announcements from scrubbing the website.
Well, we've gotten...
But wait.
Go on.
But we haven't gotten it a week out.
Well,
right? The website's probably not even written yet.
Right. Well, we've gotten the URL exists. That's the most we've ever gotten.
And we've gotten like the image that they're using. Like when they banned Stoneforge Mystic, it was an image of Stoneforge Mystic on the ban page. So like we knew that one. But this whole charade was fabricated by this performance artist who wanted to make a point, I guess, was the Reddit post that happened later. So anyway, it was a very weird situation. So I thought that the ban announcement that was faked happened first, then the daily deals were revoked as in response, kind of. So that's how I ingested these 2 things happening.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is like when I saw that announcement, it had a few small things that like just didn't feel legit. So I was like, there was a couple instances where they used like the European spelling of color, right? As opposed to regular. So I'm like, okay, well, Wizards doesn't do that. Like everything's written in-house. It's not written by the European team. So that's not likely. Some of the language they use to talk about Standard didn't really sit right the way Wizards normally talks about it. So it's like, I sort of got the indication that it was fake from the beginning. But that being said, I do still think a lot of those cards are going to end up being the ones that are banned come Monday.
Right. It looks a lot like AI wrote it, quite frankly.
In some ways, yeah.
Yeah, like, you would tell the AI, hey, write about the ban of this card, how it's too powerful of an enchantment. There's certain things you can kind of pepper it with, and it'll just kind of come up with the rest. And that's what a lot of it kind of felt like. And yes, all of these cards are kind of big and annoying in their own way. I had a very long conversation with Mr. Mike Flores over the phone about him going like, weighted announcement is going to be everywhere the instant they ban Fable. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. And I too am kind of sick of Rafine and already Atraxa, but I don't think we're going quite that far in next week's announcement.
Yeah, I mean, now that we have a 3-year ban standard cycle, I think that it's more comfortable to ban 2-year-old cards. I think I'm fine with the best cards that are 2 years old getting banned, whether they are too strong or not, personally.
Whatever that means, right? So we'll see. And we move out of the first pick here into Gather the Townsfolk. That's thanks to our sponsor, Mana Traders. The best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience. Use the code MAGICMIKES for 12% off your next subscription with Mana Traders. Tell them we sent you. We appreciate their sponsorship. So this was a fun, cool thing we got to do. And from the mind of MTG Nerd Girl, working with Veggie Wagon and judges Talia Vess and Zabrakis, there's going to be a casual cosplay contest at CommandFest Orlando.
I heard about that.
That's hilarious. I really like that concept. I'm curious to see how that goes, because the other Magic Fest cosplay contests have birthed some spectacular results from members of the cosplay community. The Ashiok and the Slimefoot that won the 2 Magic Fests.
Did you see the Vorinclex from Philly?
I saw the Vorinclex also.
Oh, yeah. That was ridiculous.
I mean,
he was like 7 feet tall or whatever.
Yeah.
Now,
and not to mention your standard all-stars of, the Garuk that's at every show, and Olivia coming dressed as Olivia. And the casual contest is going to be interesting. Do you have any details on the rules or the format?
Right. Basically, this is the idea that we don't want, we didn't want people to spend $500, $800 or whatever on a costume. It's a celebration of inventiveness, valuing creativity over price tags. Every person who enters, because we want to incentivize people to enter, get 2 Commander Legends 2 collector boosters if you spend the time and effort to try to get them together. So we're going to have the entries are going to go to biggest laugh, thriftiest costume, best on-stage performance, and most creative. And
interesting.
The winners of those categories get a $100 gift card to CoolStuffInc.com.
Right. So if I were to do this, I would get a plastic trash can lid and go as Archelos.
Oh, that'd be cool.
The Lagoon Mystic.
Okay.
And have that be my shell.
You can make it work. So, so it's something cool, new, interesting, unique. I love doing this crazy stuff that we can kind of only do at a Command Fest, which is going to be fun.
Yeah, you definitely can't have the casual cosplay contest at a Magic Fest.
That doesn't really work.
I like the more local feel of a casual cosplay contest.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So moving on here, we have our teaser.
Actually, real quick, just while we're on GP Orlando...
Or
CommandFest Orlando. A commercial went up for CommandFest Orlando in the Orlando area today, right?
And Jacksonville,
in Jacksonville. And guess who's doing the commercial? That'd be me.
Over the radio airwaves.
So you might hear my voice if you listen to specific radio stations in Jacksonville or Orlando.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've never gotten a radio ad spot kind of worked out in that fashion before, and that was fun.
Yeah.
And, got an iHeartRadio rep to chat with and work it all out. And
I've almost certainly been on the radio before. I don't ever get told when I get radio jobs. Money just appears in my bank account. It's very weird. Like, I will, because I go through, third-party websites that, post the thing, and sometimes they'll just take the audition rather than ask you to re-record it. And then I don't know, and it happens all the time with PSAs, where they'll just take the audition, and then money will show up in my account. it's bizarre. This is the first time I've ever gotten a radio spot and known where it was broadcasting and when.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And so it was super fun, and we got to try out some different things, some with different effects and things in the background, but ultimately just Ruben being Ruben was the best way to go.
I played it for my family, and they were very surprised at how chipper I sounded, because usually I'm dour. But
we got to be up. Got to be up, baby.
That's right. You got to put on your performance voice.
It's radio time,
That's
You're
right.
trying to sell some things.
That's right. Did a good job. So, Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth, we do have the official Mark Rosewater teaser that he loves to drop little tiny hints of things and stuff that's coming soon. Nothing that was too crazy. I like a card that makes a Smaug creature token.
Excellent.
I'm looking forward to new non-mana ward costs, like maybe mill cards or something else, right? That'd be kind of neat. A mechanic returns that I had to fight tooth and nail to get into the set it premiered in. Not sure. Huh. I mean, that is a classic. If there's a classic Rosewater story, it's he had to go to the mat to get this thing that everybody
there's
loved.
Always something like that, right?
It was Rosewater against the world, But and some counters in the set are cool. Burden counters are going to be neat. Lore counters, stun counters, burst counters, all that good stuff.
Hope counter is very good.
I'll take a hope counter.
Yeah.
So and whenever you attack with Mary and another legendary creature,
perfect. Amazing.
It. Very cool. Copy any number of target instant and or sorcery spells. Sounds scary.
That sounds scary.
So, and Lord knows this card is red and white. I'm just telling you right now, it's red and white. You may pay
Probably.
0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equip ability you activate during each of your turns.
Sure.
It's a red-white card. It's what they do. It's just what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
Seems about right.
Yeah. Legendary horses, I'll take it. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, legendary horse. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's going to be the king of the horses. It's got to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But,
I mean, I could probably figure out who all of these legendary creatures are based on the lore of Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
I like Wraith Noble. Wraith Noble makes me happy.
Wraith Noble should be dope. And have something to do with the ring and the ring bearer, and when you attack and they have the ring bearer or something. Yeah. I love some of the card names. It sounds super cool. Breaking of the Fellowship. One ring to rule them all.
Mm-hmm.
What does that do? It better be dope.
And of course, Second Breakfast.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these are very classic Lord of the Rings lines.
Oh yeah, there and back again.
Very good.
Come on, that's going to be super fun. But and I'm guessing Limbus probably makes food tokens, right?
Sure. Food tokens that don't expire. You might just be able to tap your food tokens to gain life.
There you go.
Ooh, that would be something.
Yeah. So I love all this lily silly, like they tell you a little bit about it, but not a lot of it, type stuff. And this goes all the way back to Mirage when what's the 1 mana Phyrexian 12/12.
Phyrexian
Dreadnought, thank you. 1 mana 12/12 is going to be in the next set. Like that's one of the first ones I remember reading this and going, oh my god, there's a 1 mana 12/12. Yeah. And then also the disappointment when it really sucked back in the day. There was no way.
Well, yeah.
There was no stifle back then. You just were like, oh crap, card's terrible. But yeah, that was fun. I hope that these continue, and I love the tradition, and that's always fun and neat.
I'm just a little sad it's not standard legal, especially with all the standard changes we're making and everything else, because that would have been cool.
There's nothing I've seen so far that says it needs to not be. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Hold on. Is the Lord of the Rings set not standard?
It's modern legal back, so it's only historic legal on Arena. And we'll still be able to play it limited and draft it and whatnot on Arena, but the cards themselves are only legal in.
Because I thought this was the summer expansion. Why am I remembering this differently?
Because this is the second year in a row we will not have a standard set in the summer.
Right.
Well, I hate that.
Same.
Again, maybe the power level just really gets up there when we start seeing some mythics.
Sure.
Who knows?
That's true. I mean, I guess they can push the envelope a little bit longer.
Yeah. And make it a little bit more exciting and powerful or whatever. I have no idea, but I am excited about it. Magic Mike's is now 8 years old. We've been doing this for 8 years.
Now, that's right.
When Power Dragon has not been here for 8 years, but Yeah, I appreciate that. Who knew all those years ago we would continue to be doing this show?
Yeah.
All these years later.
When I started doing Magic Mics, I was living at Eric Froelich's house in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
I have since moved at least half a dozen times.
I was going to say like 37 different times.
Yeah. I could count them up. It's probably more than 8.
It's probably more than, I would say, yeah, high single digits.
But yeah, we've been doing this show for a very long time. The live show on Wednesdays and then Thursdays and now back to Wednesday has been on for more than 500 episodes. It's the longest job I've ever had. And it is a pleasure to be doing it with y'all.
And
you know, it says a lot about just Magic as a whole too, though, right? That a show like this still can hold interest, still has new viewers and listeners this far down the road. You know, when we're in whatever year 31 or whatever of Magic or whatever we're into.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, this at this point the show has outlasted marriages. So
right.
There you go.
Statistically, quite a few marriages.
Right.
but specifically my own.
Yours.
Yeah. So, but it's a lot of fun. We appreciate y'all listening and being a part of it each and every week. We're going to move on here to Arena is now on Steam. It's not like the biggest deal in the world, but it is a whole different market of players who may not be paying attention to Magic anyway. And now it's free on that platform. So high five. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a Rubicon that you need to cross when you're a game of any kind, is do you get on platforms that share games? And the Steam platform is the biggest one for PCs. And it's going to be interesting to see how things change. I assume the player pool crosses over.
Right. Yeah, it's all cross-platform stuff.
I wonder if there are going to be Steam mods for your Magic Arena experience.
I doubt it.
I
seriously doubt it.
But yeah, anyway, it's exciting.
Oh, does this mean now you can play Arena on a Steam Deck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would mean even natively. You want to do anything weird, you know, or do mods or whatever kind of stuff. Like, no, just go load Steam.
That's kind of cool.
That's pretty useful.
Arena. Yeah, get going. That sounds like fun.
That's good timing by them, actually.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Why? Why is it good timing?
I'm seeing more and more people just now picking up Steam Decks.
Oh, okay.
So I was like...
There you go. So we're going to move on here to the Desperate Ravings. So Wizards decided to make a new Secret Lair Commander deck. The first one was Heads I Win, Tails You Lose. It was $100. It was a fantastic value, and a whole bunch of them sold. And from all I could tell, it went over pretty good, other than you had to wait a year to get it.
Right, so that was the big thing about it, was that it took forever to ship.
Yeah.
Took like a year to get to you. So that was kind of lame, but whatever. You got your thing. Let's go. And so Wizards made a new one called From Cute to Brute, which had a bunch of like cutesy versions of villains and things. And for $150, and had a bunch of, you know, special foils and double-sided cards and so on. For $150, and suddenly just kind of immediately took them all down and said the sale has been ended. Not they sold out, but the sale has been ended. This gives Magic 30 vibes, if you remember that debacle. And you notice here, one Ollie Ontrazi tweeted that he got his Cute to Brute and every single card was damaged. And so if he got that and they were damaged, and the sale was suddenly taken down, and we Occam's our razor here, there's a possibility that maybe the product was damaged to most of those who received one, and Wizards got the giant wave of feedback, and they shut off the sales pronto.
I feel like I just saw somebody on Twitter, I'm going to see if I can find it again, was sharing theirs, and I don't remember seeing that. Not to say, I mean, it could have been just a portion of them were damaged still, though.
Right. Or some large portion that they were like, oh my God, this has to stop. But if you know, if you're watching the video here, I got this on screen so you guys can see what the damage looks like. Just nicks in the corner, basically on like everything.
Yeah.
You know, something
yeah, that's pretty egregious. If everything is
for $150, like
yeah.
So
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and obviously we'll see what comes of it, and People have noted they've had issues with getting Secret Lair stuff fixed in the past, so we shall see. But again, we're just reading tea leaves at this point of like what's going on here.
Yeah.
Ruben, a little closer to your world in the D&D world is that the price of all that stuff is going up, more or less like looks like $10 a whack. Everything that was 60 is now 70.
Yeah.
Across the board.
So this was announced alongside, starting with the release of Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants. Bigby of Bigby's Hand fame said that the MSRP of all their rule books are gonna be $60. $70 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Increase the MSRP of its rulebooks to 60.
Right.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. And then the physical digital
and then the
bundle.
digital bundles, physical digital bundles would be 70.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of standard fare as it pertains to paper goods these days with shipping and with inflation. I mean, it's unfortunate, but not unsurprising. It remains to be seen if D&D is really going to be suffering any adverse effects from the OSR debacle that occurred last December. OGL debacle, not the OSR debacle. That's old school rules. That's a different thing. OGL is the Open Gaming License. I don't think that we've seen enough data to suggest that they are really hampered by that in terms of sales. It will be interesting to see if this will add to that to actually see some damage done to D&D as a brand.
Personally, I don't think the OGL stuff is going to hurt them that much. I mean, I know a couple of people, hell, even my wife runs a group that's all women that play, and like, they know of the thing and they still do all their weekly D&D stuff like nothing happened, right?
Right.
But I do think books going up effectively 20% in price, that's enough to slow some people down and just say like, hey, can I even afford to buy hardback books anymore, right? Am I moving to all digital or whatever? Which, of course, Wizards is also making a movement into D&D digital and the whole D20 thing, and that's a whole Roll20, I guess. So like that's a whole thing. So maybe they don't mind that much because they're going to get their money one way or the other. I don't know. But yeah, I think the increase in costs will be more damaging than the OGL thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that Wizards of the Coast saw a bump from sales. They sold something like 13% more in the first quarter of this year, probably helped by the success / non-failure of the D&D movie. I've seen mixed reviews online from non-nerds, from like regular like outlets that said that the D&D movie was not a blowout success. I don't think that I've seen anything that said that it was a failure by any stretch.
Right.
You know, it was number one at the box office for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something. That's good enough. Mm-hmm. And that's better than they've kind of ever done with a D&D movie. So I think that had a bigger effect than anything else.
It didn't need to be $1 billion movie. I mean, when it's all said and done, international and stateside, it'll probably be a $400 million movie, $500 million movie. That's great for their studio.
That's great.
Yeah, that's enough for them to want to do another movie.
If it's that successful, absolutely.
And the first of my idea of what they want to do here is that they want to start a franchise, like you just said.
Sure.
The first of a franchise doesn't have to be a blowout. The first Fast and the Furious wasn't as big of a movie as Fast 5 or Fast X will be. The first James Bond movie was not a cinematic event the way that James Bond movies are now. So it's not like everything has to be Marvel. They're not competing against Marvel and DC and Star Wars. That's not who D&D is competing against. D&D as a franchise is trying to compete at that mid-level tier around, let's say, John Wick, right? I would say that if they make John Wick money, they'll be happy.
I think the issue essentially is... Go ahead. Well, the production budget was $150 million. and the worldwide box office, at least so far, is 207 million, which is probably a little bit below what they spent on it between that and marketing the movie itself, which is usually 50% of the budget. So I'm not saying that they're going to lose money, but I'm not sure if they made a whole lot of money here, and they might have just broke even.
But the other thing too is, though, if that did contribute to what you're saying, 10 to 15% more sales in D&D, and that's worth several $1 million.
Yeah. It's also proof of concept.
If you break even, and then that brings in a bunch of extra money on the other peripherals, that's cool.
And it was a good movie. It was a fine, solid movie. It was fun.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's also important that it is a movie where the story isn't based on an existing property. It is a whole cloth new story, as Dungeons and Dragons kind of should be. Now, the next D&D movie, they could make a Drizzt Do'Urden story. They could dip into the well of Dungeons and Dragons lore that they have, if they wanted to.
See, that was the question I had. Do you want to make all new movies every time? Or now that people kind of like these characters, do you run them back and say, okay, well, this is the next adventure they go on? So you're following like your own D&D party through these ridiculous adventures.
I mean, I was surprised that I didn't see a lot of, like, we saw the Mimic, but there wasn't like a Beholder or any other sort of like classic D&D monster.
We got a dragon.
There was a Displacer
Dragon.
Beast.
Chunky Dragon.
We got a Displacer Beast.
Yeah.
There was a lot there for D&D nerds to latch onto.
Yeah, a couple of the spells they threw were recognizable things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They did a time stop. They did a shield spell.
Yeah, the one chick turns into an owlbear.
Yeah. The wild shape was really good. Yeah, I mean, there was enough there for the D&D folks who love D&D to be like, oh, I know what that is, without it being overbearing or feeling like it's only fan service. So I'm excited to see if they are able to do that again in the future. All of that is to say, I believe that whether the movie was a success or not, based solely on money according to Hollywood, I believe it's success inside of Wizards of the Coast for their sales.
I think,
for building the brand.
Yeah, I mean, I think what what Wizards wanted is what Super Mario Brothers got, essentially. Like, they just made a Nintendo Studios, you know what I mean? Like, to officially work in the Nintendo Extended Universe, whatever movies that they're going to make. If, if D&D had made $1 billion like Super Mario Brothers did, they would be talking about Wizard Studios and making, a whole line of movies and so on and so forth. And I think right now, like, they're fine. It's okay. No one's upset about it. Everyone seems to be happy with the movie. It's cool, but it didn't quite explode. It did good, and it needed to do great to super great to.
Well, to be fair, the infrastructure is already all there for Hasbro anyway, with their E1 and Allspark Studios and whatever. So, like, if they ever want to, they already have all the parts to do it.
Right. I mean, and you gotta be able to afford the Chris Pines of the world. You need those movie stars, who to bring in the seats. I mean, he did a great job. I thought he did great, and he was funny and interesting. And Hugh Granted, Hugh Granted.
Yeah, sort of the way I felt about it. Like, he kind of just Hugh Granted.
It was fine.
It was great. It was exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
They didn't try too hard. The thing about the movie that I really appreciated was that it had the right kind of humor at the right time. A lot of the time, when a movie tries to be goofy, it is just dumb. And this movie was good at being goofy.
Actually, I think, kind of to your same point, it felt like a D&D campaign in the sense that it was just campy enough, right? Like, there's enough silliness or like awkward moments or whatever that were somewhat relatable while still carrying you through the adventure.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if I'll ever buy another paperback book myself for Dungeons and Dragons. I have a huge collection of paper 5th edition books as it is. The shift to D&D Beyond and Roll20 virtual tabletop is combined with the fact that a lot of people are playing over Zoom as it is, playing over Discord as it is, means that paper books are going the way of paper newspapers and paper magazines. Like I was a very late convert to D&D Beyond. In fact, I did the entire, I think, first 2 seasons of The Broken Pact with books, with paper books, and didn't use D&D Beyond. Then I converted over to D&D Beyond and was, how did I ever survive before this? And, I don't know that it's going to matter long term that the price is $60 or $70, because if you're going to buy the book, you're going to spend $70.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people you're losing based on the price increase rather than simply by the fact that it's a book.
And I would note, just as a final point here, because they raised the price of Magic about, a year or so ago. And, you're going to have less people buying it as a result. But because the price is higher, even if less people buy it, you're making more money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's Lemonade Tycoon.
Right.
Yeah,
so
if the price goes up 10%, but you only lose 3% of your people, you still made way more money.
Right. It doesn't matter if you're selling less technically, if you're making more, the money that you're looking for. So, all right. So let's go ahead here and turn the corner to the finisher. The Aftermath math is in, and it is less than stellar. But the idea of an epilogue story still holds water despite the leaks. So tell me, if you could make an after-credit scene for your favorite MTG expansion, how would you make that a reality, Ruben?
Well, I love Lorwyn. And honestly, Shadowmoor was kind of like 2 full sets of Lorwyn's denouement. But I know that. So I would expect that the next time we get a full set of Lorwyn, we would get Lorwyn Twilight and follow that up with Lorwyn Breaking Dawn.
Nice. Power Dragon?
They're kind of old, but for me, Tempest. That's a fun set we could go with, and it's the original OGs, right, from the Weatherlight crew. And honestly, you kind of do Guardians of the Galaxy style, like post-credit scene, and you could go with Weatherlight, the golden years.
Now, my first MTG love was Alliances, and while we got our third Ice Age of Dominaria with the set Cold Snap, and we won't talk about that, I would love to catch back up with the Balduvian Hordes and get the feast at the end of Return of the Jedi scene we deserve with the new set called Aftermelt. Yeah, very nice. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Power Dragon.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you. See you next week.
We're going to move on here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, Mana Traders, my co-hosts, Power Dragon and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe, and everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. We're joining us here next week. Same time, same place, we promise, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.